Alrighty. Yeah. Oh, wait. Maybe it'll help if I turn on my camera. There I am. Hey, everybody. Jeremy James, Loud Esmond, Christian Giordani was here with us. He should be back any moment, I guess.
Right here.
And hey, Rocky just jumped in here as we get ready to kick off another episode of Steer the Line. We are about 2 minutes out from going live on KMET Radio in Southern California, 1490 AM, if you're listening or want to listen there. And then you hang out here with us for the full hour, and we'll be, talking football. Loud's going to have all the latest on the USFL playoffs, what those games are going to be looking like this weekend, how you might want to bet on them. Of course, we'll cover the Raiders, the Seahawks. We'll take a look at the Rams a little bit, all the NFL news, and everything we can figure out to talk about as we all anxiously wait for the NFL season
30 seconds
to get started, and we were just 30 seconds away from going live on KMET, so we'll be doing that in just a moment. And for those of you who are watching us here live on YouTube, we're broadcasting live tonight on our very own Steer the Line YouTube channel for the first time. Thank you to our over 1,000 subscribers. And
claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
What's happening, football fans? It is time to Steer the Line.
Touchdown!
With your host, Loud Esmond and Jeremy James. For the best takes in NFL and football betting, fantasy football, and the latest news, get ready to Steer the Line. All right, thanks everyone again for joining us here on Steer the Line on a Friday night, whether you're joining us on 1490 KMET in Southern California or you're watching live on our YouTube channel or on the Winners and Winers YouTube channel, or maybe if you're watching us on our Steer the Line Twitch channel. But
and Jeremy, live later on the Max Wagers Network.
Yeah, there you go, the Max Wagers Network. We're everywhere. Well, yeah. We can't be contained to just one channel. We're just that big and cool. So,
that
Loud Esmond with us, Rocky Giordani, Christian. How's it going tonight, Loud? How's everyone doing?
Well, we can't be contained. This show, it feels like my Hawaiian shirt. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm doing good. I'm energetic. I like it too, Loud. It's pretty good.
All right, we're like it. Rocky.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Well, Lou, I thought I'd be home by today, but I didn't make it, so I'm still south of the border, and all the wrinkles that go with that. I barely got here in time. Thanks for waiting for me, everybody. It's glad to be here. Good to see you, Jeremy, Christian, Lou. Looking good. I like that shirt, Lou.
Thanks. Yeah, it's we're having a heat wave here. It's 80 degrees today.
Wow.
So I'm breaking out all the summer gear because that's just too hot for me here, as you know, up here in the Pacific Northwest. Well, let me go straight to the USFL. Had a great win last week with the Breakers. I said that the Breakers were going to rest most of their starters. They'd been on a roll, and they had significant injury problems, including their first-string quarterback, Kyle Sloader, and their second-string quarterback as well. And they did exactly as I predicted. They rested everybody. They actually started a guy at quarterback that hadn't been on the team until earlier that week. And predictably, they lost by a wide margin to the Gamblers. I believe it was 20-3. They not only did the Gamblers cover the 3.5 that I said that they would, but they won outright by a very large margin. So we nailed that one. And then the Stallions did exactly as I predicted, too, the exact opposite. They started all their starters. They really wanted to win that game because they had been stumbling going into the playoffs. And they did win. But they didn't cover. I had the Stallions winning by 3.5, and they won by 3 against Tampa Bay. So that sucks. I hate losing on the hook. Drives me crazy. And it happens a lot more than you would expect. That half point is the difference between a winning bet and a losing bet. And here's the bad news. I tried to buy that half point away, but none of the gambling folks are taking any exotics on USFL bets at all. You can bet the money line. You can bet the line they give you. They're not going to give you parlays. They're not going to give you teasers. They're not going to let you buy any points. It is what it is. So unfortunately, both games at the latest I saw this week are at 4.5, which means you have 4 and the hook. But I think I've got a solid pick on each of these. Look, you've got the Generals of New Jersey, who have been one of the hottest teams. They lost week 1. They've won every other week since then. They've got solid quarterback play in Luis Perez. And they have a quarterback who comes off and runs kind of a package, Johnson, and he gets some output as well. They have a really strong running game. They have 2 running backs that each have more than 500 yards from scrimmage. There's only 2 other players in the USFL that have more than 500 yards from scrimmage. And the Generals have 2 of them out of 4 in the entire league. And they have a very strong running because of that. Now, they're playing the Philadelphia Stars. The Philly Stars have not beaten a team with an above 500 record all season long. They benefited from playing the worst teams in the USFL twice because they were in their division, the Pittsburgh Maulers and the Jeff Fishers. And, I'm sorry, the Panthers of Michigan, coached by Jeff Fisher. So they beat both of them, and they faced 2 teams with above 500 records. The Stallions and the Generals, they lost big to each of them. This is a mismatch. The Generals are going to dominate this game as long as they don't turn it over. And I'm taking the New Jersey Generals to cover the minus 4.5 easily here. The Tampa Bay Breakers take on the Birmingham Stallions. Look at this game almost the mirror opposite of the other. The better team should be the Stallions, who started the season hot. They reeled off 8 straight wins, but they lost in week 9. They barely won last week, despite the fact they started all their starters, and they didn't even cover against the Bandits last week. Now they face the Breakers. The Breakers have the best defense in the USFL. They only give up 15 points a game. Now the Stallions' defense is second best in the USFL, giving up 16 points a game. These 2 teams met 2 weeks ago. It was a defensive struggle. The Stallions win 10-9. I see a similar outcome here, but the wild card is Kyle Sloader, the quarterback of the Breakers, has been hurt all year in various ways. He's been off for 2 weeks now. He's had a chance to rest that pulled groin, the sore shoulder, the sore elbow. And so I think he's going to be as healthy as he's been all season. And with Sloader being healthy, maybe he plays a better game and maybe they win in this one. But either way, I think 4.5 is too much for the stumbling Stallions to cover against the Breakers, who have been one of the hotter teams towards the end of the season. And I like the Breakers plus the 4.5. So, first USFL playoff weekend, Generals minus 4.5 against the Stars, Breakers plus 4.5 against the Stallions. And those are your Loud Esmond USFL picks for the conference championships. 1 game at noon this Saturday, 1 game at 5. Rocky.
Did the Stars cover last week? They did
not. The Philly Stars did not. No, they did not. Wait, hang on. You would have to ask me that.
Yes, sir.
You know, I don't know the answer to that because it wasn't a game I picked. So
right. So it was a game I picked.
I believe that they did not, but I would have to go back and look at the scores, and I don't have it in front of me. Because the games that matter are the ones that are coming up this week and the games that I was right on last week. So that's what I'm talking about. But I will look it up during the show and get you the answer, okay?
Yes, and if they covered last week, they will cover this week.
Back to you, Jeremy.
Back to me. Okay, I don't even know where we're really going from here, but there's your USFL picks from Loud Esmond. And, I guess it's time to just kind of dive into what's been going on this past week in the NFL. Anyone got any particular news topics that they've been following this week that we should jump into?
I think Christian had a couple. So Christian,
I think you did too. What do you got, Christian?
Well, the biggest one this week is obviously Alvin Kamara most likely getting a 6-week suspension. We all know that's due because of his assault charges back the day before the Pro Bowl in Las Vegas. For people that don't know what happened, Kamara was in a nightclub where he refused to let a man outside of his group, his posse, whatever you want to call it, enter the elevator he was entering. This escalated to the point where Kamara and multiple others were beating on the man until he was left unconscious. He was arrested the following day, the day of the Pro Bowl, and video surveillance surfaced that proved Alvin Kamara did assault this man. So now skipping close to the end of the offseason, Alvin Kamara is definitely going to be suspended, whether that's a whole season, 6 games, 8 games, half the season. That's up to the NFL, not to me. But he's definitely going to have the suspension, and that's going to jeopardize the Saints' season this year. Alvin Kamara, he leads the Saints in their offensive rating and their offensive ranking. He's a top 5 running back in the league, and yes, a lot of people can say they're expendable and they're interchangeable, but you can't replace guys like Alvin Kamara. Excuse me, I always mess up his name. So,
Alvin Kamara actually won an entire week of fantasy football for me one week by scoring 6 touchdowns in a single game.
Yeah, he's a beast. Definitely in the top 4, top 5 conversation. He's up there with Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor. But we all know this is a betting site. This is a betting show. So what I'm going to tell you is how this affects the Saints season. Now, if you only get suspended for the first 6 games, it won't be as bad as people think because their upcoming schedule isn't that bad. You know, they have a good chance to win most of those games, but they will probably lose 2 out of the 6 games that they would have. So that brings them to 3-2 instead of 4-2 or 5-1. They're going to face the Bucs. The only teams that I can see flipping the schedule is the Vikings and the Seahawks beating them. And if the Seahawks beat them, that depends on DK, whether he stays or not. But this moves their projected wins from 9 to 7, which can knock them out of a playoff spot. Definitely a wild card spot.
2 games.
Everything I've seen so far said about 6 weeks. And yeah, if you're someone that's going to be betting on the Saints heading into the season, that's something you definitely want to take into account. Also, for fantasy football, though, you got to temper your expectations now on where you're going to get, out of him if he misses 6 games, and also where you're going to take him in the draft. You know, so those people who have been drafting early, there's people who've already taken him in the first round in way too early a drafts, and now that's going to hit him hard. And when you look at the Saints depth chart, I mean, Mark Ingram is the next best talented running back they have behind. He's old.
Perfect description of him.
Yeah, and beyond him, I think they have still maybe Dwayne Washington. I think is still on that.
What's the status on Michael Thomas?
Everything I'm saying I've seen nothing that says he's not going to play. That he should be ready to go for training camp, and that he's feeling good, and that he should be playing. He hasn't played in over a year now. I don't know what he's going to be like once he finally gets on the field.
Yeah, 15 months.
Yeah, that's a long time to be off the field. So that's definitely going to affect the betting line on all those Tampa Bay all those New Orleans early games. And your answer, Rocky, is Philadelphia covered plus 3.5 against the New Jersey Generals in Week 10. New Jersey winning 26-23, but were favored by 3.5 points. So the Stars covered. Right. You and I went 2 different ways on that game.
Right.
So
and I think because they covered last week, they have a good chance of covering this week because they kind of sent a message. And sometimes those teams listen.
Right, and this is that game where the Generals played the Stars last week, and they're going to play in the playoffs again this
week.
Now.
Right.
And you and I are on the same side this week, I believe. No, wait. No, I've got the Generals minus 4.5 against the Stars. I think they're overrated. So
this is one of those games where a snake bite game where the General they might get snake, but they might lose that game outright to the Stars.
All right. So we'll see what happens. Again, they just got to avoid turning the ball over, and they do on paper they're a much better team than the Stars are. Okay, so when it comes to the Las Vegas over-unders, also, that's something that you've got to watch out for when it comes to the Saints. That not having Kamara early in the season, that may be an additional 1 or 2 games that they lose. So when you're looking at the over-under bet for the Saints, if you're thinking about that, that's huge. To a team in that same division, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are now Gronkless. Jeremy, what kind of impact do you think that's going to have on the Tampa Bay Brady's?
It's his favorite weapon. I think it's going to have a little bit of an impact on that offense. He relies on Gronk. He loves having Gronk, and you're going to be going into this season without which one of the receivers got
Mike
hurt?
Evans.
Mike Evans.
No, I'm sorry, Chris Godwin.
Godwin
Godwin
was
they're
on
saying
with the ACL.
at best is going to join after week 6, more likely after week 8.
Yeah, so you're losing 2 major weapons from that offense.
Oh, and by the way,
Leonard
Fournette turned 65 yesterday, so we're wishing him a happy birthday.
But yeah, it's going to be tough. I don't know what they have behind him. I think Cameron Brate is still
Russell
there
Gage.
in Tampa Bay.
No, some guy named Gage.
And Justin Gage is the receiver they brought in,
right?
Who is he's gonna see targets. He's gonna have to. He's gonna be starting opposite Mike Evans for at least the first 6 to 8 weeks of the season. While
he's going to be the number 2 wide receiver, and
he
Tom
is gonna
Brady's
be.
talking about how he's going to have to step up and really learn his game and blah blah blah. I don't feel good about that. Do you?
No, he's a solid receiver. Brady will probably make him a better receiver. He seems to do that with people. So, but it's definitely going to hurt. And Gronk not being there, I think, is also probably temporary. I know he's retired again, but come week 9 or 10, they're making playoff pushes. Maybe they're a game or 2 behind. Brady calls him up. Hey, come help me get to the playoffs again, and he'll be right back. I think so.
No, I hear this. Gronk no play no more. Me no get
They're
hurt
Gronkless.
much. He's got plenty of
Gronkless
money.
before
He likes
training camp.
Nickelodeon better than he does playing football now. And by the way, I think one of the things that you're missing, a lot of people who have never played a team sport, there's a guy that's very necessary on any team, and that is the goofball. You need a goofball on the team so that when things get tense, you have somebody who can sort of lighten the atmosphere. And I think that guy was Gronk, both on the Patriots for Tom, because Tom is a psycho, right? Tom is no fun to play with for anybody. So I think it's like Gronk who could kind of grab Brady and give him a noogie when he was acting like a jerk and being psycho and sort of lighten things up. You're not going to have that anymore. And I think, Rocky, team chemistry, don't you think that's going to be missed?
Yeah, no doubt about it. You don't just lose a Gronkowski and just go on as business as usual. By the way, Lou, you're right about that. It's a really goofball, and I've really come to understand that 8 out of 10 times, for some reason, those goofballs are left-handed. I have no idea what that has to do with it, but they always seem to be the left-handers were the goofballs. But yeah, I think they're Gronkless now for training camp when training camp starts in July. But I do not believe I go along with Jeremy. I think eventually the Gronk comes back to help his buddy Tom. Tom's gonna say it's my last year. It's my last year, Gronk. It's my last year. It's not his last year, by the way.
It's not.
When Brady, I don't know, a Brady can retire and come back twice. I don't think Gronkowski is going to do that.
No, Gronkowski definitely has a big chance of coming back. He's known to do this kind of thing where he just leads off in the beginning of the season, the dog days, to kind of rest. It's his move.
All right, well, we'll see. But if they're without Gronk, look, their over-under number for Vegas for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is 11.5 wins. They won 12 games last year. That was with Gronkowski and with Chris Good Godwin, as I used to call him when he was on a fantasy football team. So they opened the season at Dallas. I'm going to give them a win there because I just don't like Dallas this year. I think they've lost a bunch. I don't think Zeke is all that anymore. Randy Gregory, losing him on the defense. I just don't see them as a great team. So I think Tampa Bay wins that opening game at Dallas. But then New Orleans has owned them, and they have to go New Orleans week 2. No, Alvin Kamara no. The defense has wrecked Tom Brady repeatedly when Tampa Bay plays them. And so I'm going to give a loss at New Orleans, and then they lose to Green Bay, and then they lose to Kansas City. Think about the opening of their season. Dallas, New Orleans, Green Bay, Kansas City. Ugh, that's not easy. Now, they right the ship because then they get Atlanta win, Pittsburgh win, Carolina win, but then they're at Baltimore. I'm going to call that a loss. Then they're at the Rams. Well, we all know they're losing that game. Then they get a win at Seattle. They get a win at Cleveland because Cleveland, who knows who's going to be the quarterback. And then let's say they beat New Orleans when they come to Tampa Bay. I'm going to give a win at San Francisco, and then they lose to Cincinnati. They win at Arizona. They win at Carolina. They win at Atlanta. And I have them going 10-7. At most 11.
That's a little low.
You think?
Yeah, yeah, it's a little.
They still
low,
got
in my
a solid
opinion.
defense.
Yeah.
They still got Tom Brady. They can still run the ball.
At least 12 wins. At
Okay,
least.
okay, hang on. Then go through it game by game.
All right, can you give me the schedule
Dallas.
again? That's
At
a win.
Dallas.
That's a win.
At New Orleans.
That's a win.
No. Okay, let's give
Without
a win
Alvin
there.
Kamara.
It's an easy
Yeah,
win.
without Alvin Kamara.
An easy win.
And
It's the defense that's wrecked Brady in those
who's the
games.
quarterback
I'll-
for the Saints again? What's his name?
Jameis.
Yeah, right. Jameis.
Exactly.
They won
Pick
some
Jameis, man.
turnover
He
Jameis.
was doing
Jameis.
great until he got hurt last year. All right,
Okay, so it's 2 wins.
Green Bay,
I'll give them a loss there.
Kansas City,
That's a flip, but if you want to give it to Kansas City, give it to Kansas City.
Atlanta,
That's a win.
Pittsburgh,
Win.
Carolina,
Easy win.
Baltimore.
Win.
Wow.
I
Really?
like it too. I
Lamar
like it
Jackson
too in
coming
both.
off a major injury in what, week 8?
Rams,
They've got no receivers.
That's a loss.
Seattle,
Win.
Cleveland,
Easy win.
New Orleans,
Win again.
at San Francisco.
A win against San Francisco. Who's their quarterback? Trey Lance?
Yep, Cincinnati,
Toss up, but I'll give the win to the veteran. Win.
Arizona,
Easy win.
Carolina.
Win.
Okay, so you've got him winning
Okay.
like 27 games. So
You got him winning 12. You got him winning 12.
I got them 12 at
agree
least.
with
At
you. I
minimum.
think
They're gonna.
10.5, 11 is going to be plenty to get them into the playoffs. It's not.
yeah,
it's
they're
not
going to
about
win their
and that-
division.
That Baltimore game is, I'm telling you, you look at the schedule, Loud, all the way up to that Baltimore game. That is going to be their statement game. That's when they decide who they are and what's going to happen for the rest of their season. That's the
Look,
game I think they're
I
going
see
to nut up
those.
and
I
win.
see those opening 4 games as being tough. At Dallas, at New Orleans, Green Bay, Cincinnati, Green Bay, Kansas City. All 4 of those games are losable for Tampa Bay. So just throwing it out there. And one other injury anywhere on that team, and they've got trouble because
On
they
any
don't
team.
have any depth. So and Tom Brady's 700 and
Free
Leonard
agency's not
Fournette is
over. That's what I'm
85.
saying.
All right, so we'll see what happens there. All right, so that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're split all over the place on that. I'm going to say under 11.5. And look, they won 12 games last year. No Gronk, no Godwin. Brady's a year older. Fournette's a year older. So all I'm saying is they're a half game worse than they
Different
were
head
last
coach, too.
year. Yeah, so
They
I
have
don't know.
6 automatic wins.
I'm not
in
saying
their
it's not
division.
plausible. I'm just saying I have more faith in the Buccaneers where they
They
can
have
win
6
over 12
automatic
games.
wins in their division, and then they just have to go out and win 4 or 5 more. It's not
They'll
that big of a-
split. They'll split against New Orleans. New Orleans has
Yeah,
had
New
their
Orleans
number.
does always have their number.
Oh, they will. Had.
Had. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
well,
You never know
we'll
with those
see.
division
They used to have a
games.
quarterback
Never know.
too. Now there are 4 picks in that game. 4 picks. Jameis Winston going to have 4 picks.
New Orleans beat Tampa Bay last year with a backup quarterback.
Last year, I know I saw that game and I watched it very closely, and there were
All
some
right.
issues. There,
Let's
for
get
sure.
it. As long as Rocky's talking, let's get a Rams update in here.
All right.
So
New Orleans will
officially,
not beat
though,
them.
Lou says below, Loud says below 11.5, and everybody else says more.
I agree. No, I say 10.5, 11.
Okay, so we're split.
Okay, so
Okay.
let me start with the Rams. First of all, the internet here is really crappy. I can't get to my notes, so I'm just going to wing it. But I I think the first and most obvious thing about we need to discuss about the Rams. First of all, first their training camp. They because of their early start playing the Bills, they could start training camp earlier. They decided to start on the 23rd. The Bills are starting on the 18th, so they're going to rest their guys, which we'll see how that works out. That's a Sean McVay thing. They play the Bills first game, and they were a 3-point favorite. They are now. It's basically a pick 'em. It's a 1.5 point. They're half-point underdogs now. So a lot of Vegas is deciding what to do. Most of it is because they don't have a backup quarterback. And I'm going to get to whether or not Matthew Stafford is MVP this year or not in a little bit. They don't have a backup quarterback. They drafted a running back. He broke his foot almost immediately. He needed surgery. They haven't signed that. They haven't gotten that OBJ contract done. Their receiving room is ranked 7th in the NFL, which isn't bad at all. I mean, they have some great receivers. But it's really going to hinge on Robinson. What kind of season does Robinson have? He's going to have to be the man. He's going to have to step up to take place, Robert Woods' place and OBJ's place. If they sign OBJ, they will arguably have the best receiver room in the league. But right now, they don't. Andrew Whitworth, he's hanging around minicamp. He's standing around. And the Rams have said he has an open door. If he wants to come back, he can come back. Now, I don't think he will come back, but I think he'll stay on and help coach, which would be a great idea. As long as he's there mentoring some of these young guys, now Noteboom is taking his spot. I think as long as he's around minicamp and training camp, I think the Rams' offensive line is going to be okay if he's there mentoring. Now, the defensive backs. Okay, and these are the important part. These were where the Rams had flaws after
about 90 seconds, Rocky, before we got to make a transition. Right. So,
really quick, they traded for Troy Hill and they drafted Jacoby Durant. Durant has been under Ramsey's wing since he got there. He will be the third quarterback. All right, unless it's a nickel defense, then of course it'll be Robert Long Jr. I'm cool. We'll get to the rest of it later. Matthew Stafford MVP.
I agree.
Yep.
Jeremy.
We good? Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm chuckling at Matthew Stafford MVP.
Yeah, go ahead. Struggle with
better
it.
option, Derek Carr.
We'll talk about
it. Derek Carr will have a better season statistically than Matthew Stafford.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Jeremy, make the transition for us.
All right. We are ending the show on our radio station, AM 1490 KMET. So if you're joining us there, thank you for listening every Friday. And head on over to the Steer the Line YouTube page, and you can continue to watch the show with everyone else watching right now online. And for those of you on the radio, see you next week. Go Raiders, go football. And for the rest of you, we're moving right along and keeping things rolling here with Steer the Line for the next half hour here on YouTube. So where were we? Rocky was saying something silly.
Well, we did the Rams update, and so why don't you reintroduce us all, Jeremy, and then we'll move on to the next subject. I have a question for everyone.
All right, great.
Okay, Jeremy James, Loud Esmond, Rocky Giordani, Christian Giordani. We're Steer the Line. Thank you for joining us here on a Friday. And Lou, you have a question for all of us. What
well, Loud Esmond wants to know, and when Loud Esmond speaks, people listen.
Yes, it is.
Who has more yards this year in the NFL throwing as a quarterback, Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers? Jeremy.
Wait, what was the question again?
Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers, more yards throwing.
More
passing.
Yards?
More yards passing.
Derek Carr.
Yeah, it seems like a trick question, but Derek Carr.
That's an easy one because Lou wouldn't have brought it up if it had been Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
That's loud to you, Rocky. I'm just saying. So, all right. I thought I would get pushback.
So we all know, Loud, that you think Aaron Rodgers is not a good quarterback in the NFL anyway. So it is a trick question. You think he's terrible.
I think he's a little overrated. And I also just don't like him.
I'm with you. I don't like him. I used to love him.
Sure.
No more.
And the other thing, he played quarterback at Cal Berkeley. Blech. Just saying. The Berkeley
Fresno's
Bears
so much nicer.
But he didn't drink the Kool-Aid. Can you believe that?
Well, we'll see. And also, he wears a man bun. He wears a man bun. Stop it.
Looks like a trash bag.
What are you playing guitar at a coffee house in Portland? Stop it.
That's his
With the
retirement
man
plan.
bun. Come on.
Damn it, man.
If you're wearing a man bun, you lose my respect. I'm just saying, shave that S off. Anyway,
Period.
I think Derek Carr is going to have a hellacious season.
He's having a career year.
Devontae Adams, Darren Waller,
Third and Renfro.
third and Renfro. Renfro had one of the best seasons last year of any receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, that was definitely a breakout season.
He stepped up, no doubt about
He
it.
did.
So, you add Devontae Adams, Darren Waller's a freak. Hunter Renfro is a nightmare in terms of coverage in the red zone. You're going to have the running back by committee. The offensive line, I've heard from OTAs, is coming together. And the defense is going to be a lot better. They won't be on the field as much. They're going to give the ball more to Derek Carr. And who is Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball to?
Exactly.
Grandma.
Yeah, he's got Alan Lazard returning. They signed the guy that was in Kansas City and Baltimore.
I mean, I got something on that, but that's for later in the show.
Well, let's do it now.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
the show
what do you
is
got?
aging as we go.
Okay. So we all know I'm the Seattle Seahawks beat reporter, as Loud likes to say. So we all know DK Metcalf is wanting an extension, and guys, he most likely will not get it from Seattle. We don't know who's going to give him that. If he does, it's fine. But these are my three big teams that could trade for DK Metcalf. First of all, we have the Green Bay Packers, which involves a trade for the Packers sending a 2023 first-round pick and a 2023 third-round pick, while the Packers get DK Metcalf straight up. With the absence of Devontae Adams, the Packers need a primo number one option, and DK could be that guy. He won't be cheap, but he'll definitely be a lot cheaper than Devontae Adams. He would have to take a lot of deferred money in the first year of his contract, an average of $16 million for the first year, and then it would pan out to about $28.5, somewhere around there between the contract over the next 4 years. And this will put him right back in contention for heavy favorites to win the title. This could move them from a 12-5 team to a 14-15 win team, even in my opinion. Then we have Lou. What do you think? Loud. What do you think about that?
Well, I think the Seahawks want to keep him, and if they do move him, they're going to want like a first and second round draft pick.
Yeah.
And I
In the
don't
same
know
year.
who's going to be willing
As
to
of
pay
right
that.
now, the asking price for DK is a first and a third.
A first and first and third. So they've come off the first and the second. But a first and a third is still a significant price, and then you're going to have to pay him. He's going to want big money, $28.5 million a year.
Yeah.
And your three teams that you think he should go to again are?
I have Green Bay, the Cowboys, and the Bears.
Oh, if he goes to the Bears, his career is over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Done.
I can explain it later, but first let's get into the Cowboys. The projected trade for Seattle is they get 2 first-round picks from the Cowboys, a 2023 and a 2024, and the Cowboys.
And this is because Jerry Jones wants to win now because he's about to die.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
With a trade like this, the Dallas Cowboys could own the NFC East for the next few years. You know, it would give them a young talent receiving core to put besides Dak Prescott. That gives them CeeDee Lamb and DK Metcalf. CeeDee's only 23 and DK's only 24. That's going to be a receiver combination for years to come, and it's going to be one of the most deadly in the NFL.
And they would own the league in terms of the 2 receivers with the most stupid hair in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. It would give them an immediate favorite to win their division. I remember last week we were talking about the Eagles winning that NFC East. If the Cowboys get DK Metcalf, they are winning their own division. It would put them not in favorites to win a title, but definitely in contention.
You're the salary cap guy, though, Christian. Does Dallas have the money?
Just enough if they defer his money to about 12.5 this year, and then in the next year they have to move some guys around, restructure some contracts, or they will go over the cap. But for this year, they can. And DK said he's willing to have a deferred contract in the first year.
Yeah, they must. You know what? They just need the Rams coordinator for the salary cap.
Less need, man.
And they could sign him for $280 million, and it wouldn't matter somehow.
Yeah, so,
Listen, if the Rams have a first and a second, DK Metcalf will be.
I mean, it could be a Ram. You never know.
I don't doubt
All right.
it.
So then
But,
Dallas.
That's all they're
who
asking
else?
for. Heck,
Before I get into that, Dallas is projected to win 10 games without DK, obviously, but with them, it can move them to 12 to 13, in my opinion. Now, the Bears. I know this sounds really stupid for a lot of people to hear, but it makes sense for
The
Seattle.
Bears.
It makes sense for the Seattle and Chicago. Seattle will get a 2023 first-round pick and a second-round pick and a 2025 first-round pick, and DK would be heading to Chicago. Justin Fields needs help, and a lot of it. Their offensive line, it's not good, but the receivers are terrible. It's awful. They don't have any big names to anything.
Which is why I have Chicago winning 3 games.
Yes.
By the way.
So even
Under
adding
6.
DK Metcalf doesn't make the Bears division favorites. Not by a
Isn't
long
Justin
shot.
Fields the problem in Chicago? He's not very good.
You know, he's still young. He's only 23.
We didn't see a lot, but he is young. We don't.
He is
you
young.
know,
So you
but
give
he
him
needs help.
You
Lots
give a
of
young
help.
quarterback, a young receiver on a contract. You get if you want to go in on all Justin Fields, you go all in. You give him his contract, and in 4 or 5 years, this could be really dangerous for the Bears. They could be a deadly team, you know. But for now, it would be a great pickup for Seattle. They get really early draft picks for next year. The Bears are not going to be good with DK regardless.
See, and here's one where I agree with you a little bit on trading DK Metcalf, is if your quarterbacks are Drew Lock and Geno Smith, you
there
suck.
you go.
Yeah.
So you might as well start building for 3 years from now. I mean, you're going to
Don't bash on Drew Lock like that, man. He's going to be
Beat up
good.
on my
Trust
boy
me.
again.
Well,
That's my
okay.
dude.
All right, and the
So-
last team besides Chicago, Dallas, Chicago, and the last one, Green Bay for DK.
Yeah, Green Bay.
I don't
What
think
about
they have the
Atlanta?
money. Atlanta.
They can-
What about
I don't think
Atlanta?
they're-
They're really receiver needy as well, other than their rookie.
Yeah. Atlanta would be a good pickup.
About keeping a number one quarterback receiver anymore if he got his money, right? He don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, well,
It's one of
we'll
those-
see.
Atlanta
That's
seems like they still need
interesting.
some help.
Seattle, the reason I see that making sense is Seattle is just not. They're just not that
Good.
anymore. They're really they're not good.
At the end of the day, at very worst, they're a quarterback away from being a playoff contender.
And maybe an offensive line away.
Their offensive
they-
line isn't bad. They're ranked, 20th in the league now? It's not the
It's hard
worst,
to be
but
a
it's not
playoff
the
team
best.
when you're that low in
you gotta
the
be-
offensive.
All right, we're going to do a reset here. Thank you for the Seahawks update, all the DK Metcalf talk. I'm going to, for the people that weren't with us in the first half hour, let me just do a quick version of the USFL picks for this weekend. You've got the New Jersey Generals taking on the Philadelphia Stars. They played last week. Kind of a weird thing. Both teams didn't show much. The Generals won by 3. I think looking at the numbers, this is just kind of a mismatch. If you just look at the basic numbers, let me just point this out, just to be clear. The Philadelphia Stars have not beaten a team with an above 500 record all season. They now face the New Jersey Generals, who have lost 1 game. And by the way, when they played previously, they just about covered, even though neither team was showing anything. So I love the Generals minus 4.5. Rocky's the other way. He likes the Stars plus 4.5. And then you've got the Breakers and the Stallions. The Breakers have been one of the stronger teams in the last part of the season. The Stallions have not. They started hot. They've kind of stumbled into the playoffs. And then the Breakers have the best defense in the USFL. They only allow 15 points per game. Well, the Stallions' defense is second best, allowing 16 points per game. When these two teams played 2 weeks ago in Week 8, the Stallions won 10-9. And it was a defensive struggle like the score suggests. I see a similar outcome here. But the wild card is Kyle Sloader, the Tampa Bay Breakers quarterback, is really good when he's on. He's been hurt all season. He's been off for 2 weeks because they rested him. And he may just play pretty good in this game because he's healthy. So I like the Breakers plus 4.5 against the stumbling Stallions. So there you go. Generals minus 4.5 for me. Rocky goes the other way. He likes the Stars plus 4.5. I like the Breakers plus 4.5 and maybe just outright beating the Birmingham Stallions, who, by the way, have had home field advantage all year because they played all their games in Birmingham, and these games are going to be played in Canton, Ohio at the NFL Hall of Fame field, so there will be no home field advantage for the Stallions. Might be a factor. We'll see.
Jeremy?
Sorry, I was muted again, and Loud just kind of stopped talking. So
sorry, I didn't give you a soft transition there.
Yeah, no transition.
I dropped the mic. Sorry.
Those are the picks. Those are huge picks. It's playoff time. It's time to get there. Listen,
what do you think? What do you think the ratings are going to be like for the playoff games, Rocky? Are they going to break 1 million for each of these games?
The ratings are gonna be much better. I'll tell you why. Look, I'm not the kind of guy who's gonna sit around and take a weekend off to watch the USFL, but I'll watch the championships in any sport, even soccer. How's that? Even golf. I watch championship. Most guys will watch a championship in anything. So I will be watching these games, and I actually like the Stars, and I think your quarterback after 2 weeks rest going to come out rusty. So I'm going to go the other way on both of them.
Wow, Rocky, you're jinxing me, damn it.
No, I'm not. Listen.
I lost on the hook last week because of you.
I know. Some people dial into the show because they want to hear my picks. Some people dial into the show, they want to hear your picks. They're going to have their choice. Look, after this week, they'll decide who they listen to. So you and I are going to opposite way on both those games.
Just twist the knife a little more. Big man.
Underdog in the Stars game.
Nice.
The favorite in the other game.
All right, we've talked about the Raiders. We've talked about the Seahawks. We have talked about the Rams, and that's the regular update you're going to get on this show. We have the beat reporter here for the Seahawks. We have Jeremy that covers the Raiders. Rocky, the fanatical Rams fan. Of course, he's your Hollywood, L.A. guy. So, movie star.
Did Rocky just pop lock? Is that what I just
saw?
Sort
of did.
Did everybody miss that?
Jeremy I wish we were just focused in on you for that pop
That was
lock.
kind of funny.
Quite the move.
Yeah, exactly. So there is that. I've got a team that I think is being disrespected in the NFL. Okay. The Tennessee Titans last year won 12 games and went to the playoffs, despite the fact that their offense, who is named Derrick Henry, was gone for most of the second part of the season. And if it wasn't for their quarterback, Jeremy, help me, Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill.
Completely vapor locking in that playoff game and throwing a couple of horrible picks, they probably advanced further in the playoffs. They won 12 games last year. The line on the Tennessee Titans wins this year is how many, Christian?
I'm saying 10 with the loss of A.J. Brown.
Rocky?
No clue. I would guess probably 10.5.
Jeremy?
I'm going to say 11.
Most.
Okay, so we're it's kind of like if you go to the range with me, you just all did what I normally do, which is right outside the circle in 3 different places.
Right.
Right. Well, it depends on which gun I'm using. If I have a scope, I do a lot better. Or the laser sight. So there's that. The line of over/under wins for the Titans officially in Vegas is 9.5.
Ooh, that seems a little low.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, consider what they lost, though. I mean, they lost their number one receiver. I know he didn't make much of a difference last year, but they also lost the second receiver,
Julio Jones.
Yeah, Julio Jones.
Julio Jones
wasn't.
He didn't even matter all last year.
No, not much at all. But they
went out and got Bobby Trees, man. They went out and Bobby Trees. They got a great receiver.
Yeah,
Robert Woods is great, and he's going to be their number one guy. They drafted a young guy as well who's going to be a really good wide receiver. You just got to wonder how quick it's all going to click. He's got a whole new set of receivers to work with.
Here's the word that I circled for the Titans: stability. Same coach, same quarterback, same offensive coordinator, same defensive coordinator, still have King Henry, still have the offensive line. Tannehill isn't terrible when he's not being terrible. So here's their record. Here's their schedule. Open the season in Tennessee against the Giants. I've got that as a win. Then they play at Buffalo, loss. Then they play at Las Vegas Raiders, loss. Then they play at Indianapolis, loss. So they open the season 1-3. Oh no, the alarm bells are going off. Everything's terrible. But then they get the Washington Commanders, win. Then they get Indianapolis, win. Then they're at Houston Texans, win. They're at Kansas City, loss. Then they get Denver at home, win. Then they are at Green Bay, loss. Then they are Cincinnati in Tennessee. I'm going to give Cincinnati the win there. But then at Philadelphia, win. At Jacksonville, win. To the Rams, loss. And they close out the season win with home games against Houston, Dallas, and on the road at Jacksonville, giving them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wins on the season. Christian.
Yeah, that makes pretty much sense. You still have King Henry, A.J. Brown's gone, and you have Bobby Trees. So it's going to be a transitional year, and a lot of guys are going to be in and out.
Isn't that receiver? You keep calling him Bobby Trees.
Robert Woods.
Right.
Bobby Trees is his nickname from the Rams. Right. Yes.
Robert Woods.
The guy.
Rams fan calls him that.
Yeah, I had him on my fantasy football team a couple of times. He did very well for me until he got hurt last year. He's a solid receiver. Is he the best receiver that Tannehill's ever had?
It's a toss-up. You can say A.J. Brown's better than him right now because Robert Woods just came off an ACL tear. You don't know what he's going to be next year. I'm sorry.
But it was early enough. It was early enough that he's actually going to be ready for training camp. I just think if you've got Derrick Henry and you've got continuity in your coaching, you're a 10-win team. Jeremy.
10 wins is not out of the realm of possibility here, even a little bit more. Like you said, that stability is not something you can just overlook with how many things change in the NFL with the staff and the players. It's always, a lot of turnover. Like I think the only thing that might, like you said, especially in those first 4 games where you have them going 1-3, it's just going to take a little time for Tannehill to get used to his new guys. He's got a rookie who's going to be his number 2 target, and Robert Woods is, great receiver, but he's never thrown to him. It's going to take that little bit of time, but everything else, their defense, they didn't lose a lot there. And and like you said, when you got Henry, as long as he's healthy, you've got a chance to win a game. Well, and what that does, Derrick
Henry makes the play action pass deadly.
Yes.
Because you have to respect that Henry might have the ball on every play, and the linebackers have to cheat up. You got to put a safety in the box. And that makes Tannehill a lot better than he really is because he's got the threat of Derrick Henry.
Next year, the Titans' offensive scheme is going to be very similar to the 2018 Rams' offensive scheme. Robert Woods going down deep field because they have doing a play action. Robert Woods going down deep field because they have an elite running back like Todd Gurley or Derrick Henry.
Right. And so people have to suck up to the line. There's only one safety. Yeah. The guy outruns them both. Touchdown. Go Titans if Tannehill can get him the ball. I like the Titans over the 9.5. I think that's too low.
I agree.
For a team that won 12 games last year. And I think now everybody's got to remember when it comes to Vegas, it's as much psychology as it is science. And what everybody's going to remember is how bad the Titans looked in the playoff game because Tannehill played horrible. And that's the square better, the public better, is always captured by the last thing that they saw. And that makes them bad at sports betting because it's not about the last thing that you saw. It's about a lot of things, and you have to take a broad perspective. And they're captured by the moment. So what Vegas is taking advantage of is, Tennessee was terrible in the playoffs. They're not going to be that good next year, and they lost Hollywood Brown. Well, guess what? A lot of continuity. You still have Derrick Henry. A lot of things going for you. So I'm going to say over the 9.5.
By the way, Hollywood is a whole other Brown.
Over the 9.5.
Hollywood Brown is a whole other wide receiver, different than A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown was the guy that went
Oh, I'm
from
sorry.
Baltimore to
Sorry,
Arizona.
my bad.
Two different dudes.
Yeah, Hollywood and, AJ Trees or whatever his name was. Anyway, so let's go to Deshaun Watson. Or was it Deshaun Trees? I'm confused.
Yes, and let's go to Deshaun Watson.
Josina Anderson reporting, I'm told there have been recent attempts by the NFL, NFLPA, and Deshaun Watson's advisors to negotiate a discipline settlement. However, talks involving the number of games completely fell apart. They're not even close to being on the same page. Rocky.
Well, because, as I've said, for some ungodly reason, everybody's defending Deshaun Watson. Now it's the Players Association. They can't agree on a suspension, but they're not agreeing. You see, look here, because nothing's happening over here. We're arguing about how many games he gets suspended when we should be talking about how much money he gets paid during his suspension. It should be donut. But this guy's going to get all that money, Lou. He's going to get suspended with pay because that's the path of least resistance. And everybody's going to think, oh, he got suspended. But he's going to get all that money. And for me, that's just wrong. And now Tony Busby, the attorney, has come in and said he will be joining the Texans as a defendant. So not maybe, not might be. They are definitely bringing charges against the Houston Texans as well. And they should.
Jeremy, what does it tell you when the NFLPA, the NFL, and Deshaun Watson's team are not even close on the number of games?
Yeah, everyone's got a different idea of how it should be handled, obviously. The team wants him on the field. He wants to be on the field. The NFL wants him on the field as well. But the NFL has to worry about the look of putting this guy on the field. And I think when it comes right down to it, what this means is Cleveland better be ready for Jacoby Brissett to be their starting quarterback this season. Deshaun Watson's not going to see the field this year. The only way everyone ends up even remotely somewhat happy, he doesn't play this year at all.
Christian,
I don't think 6 games is enough.
I want to go to you and ask the same question. When the NFLPA, the Players Association, the NFL, and Deshaun Watson's team, it is reported, are wide apart, what does that mean? Who's asking for what and why?
It shows this whole situation's a mess. Obviously, the NFL wants Deshaun to play. The Players Union wants him to play. Deshaun obviously wants to play and get his money's worth. And he wants to, signify his legacy in the NFL, whatever he wants to do. But regardless of that, I do not think this man should play another snap in the NFL if he's found guilty. And I already believe he's found guilty in my opinion, but my opinion doesn't matter right now. It's up to the court and it's up to the law. But in my truthful opinion, I don't think Deshaun Watson should ever see another snap in the NFL.
All right, so he's not going to be found guilty of anything criminal. All the charges have been dropped. 20 of the this is the problem for him now, as far as I'm concerned. When you say, I didn't do anything wrong, I don't clear my name, I didn't do anything wrong, I want to clear my name, I didn't do anything wrong. Okay, here's $25 million. The rest of you shut up. Yeah. And you pay the women. Now you've admitted, yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
And so, Rocky, at that point, I don't think the NFL – here's what I think it means. The NFL wants a full season. The NFLPA says we got to defend our guy. The Browns are saying we want him on the field, and Deshaun doesn't want to be suspended at all. So, of course, they're nowhere close, right?
Deshaun says he's now taking counseling and settling in to play football and focus on football. So we should all go, oh, give him a second chance. Listen, Lou, very gently, very careful about my words, you're aware of what Deshaun Watson did in this woman's face without her permission.
Oh.
Ray Rice punched his wife. I guarantee you, if you ask my wife what she would prefer, she'd take the punch from Ray Rice. This guy should never play again. This guy should never play again, ever. This guy should never see another snap. He's a predator. He's a criminal. And by the way, the no criminal charges, his attorney was talking to the DA. Now it's been uncovered that they were...
Hang on a second. Hi, this is the attorney for Loud Esmond, just jumping in to say, Rocky's comments about domestic violence do not reflect the views of this show, Loud Esmond, or any of our partners. Now moving on. Oh my
Monica
gosh.
Howard said, ha ha ha. So listen, Lou, it's really that bad. It turns out that the grand jury was in communication with the DA, was in communication with with Deshaun Watson's attorney. Since when do they
no.
discuss grand jury judgments?
All right. So let's put a bow on this.
Yeah.
Which
Give it
is
a happy ending.
John Watson is going to be suspended for the entire season. Yes or no, Jeremy?
Yes.
Yes, I believe so.
Christian?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm there too. Their quarterback is going to be, for the Browns, Jacoby Brissett or Baker Mayfield, Jeremy?
It's going to be Jacoby, but it would work out best for both if it was Baker.
Yeah.
Christian, Baker or Brissett?
Brissett's going to start. I'm sorry, Baker's never going to play in Cleveland again. He stated himself. He's not.
He's a pro. They'll need him, and he'll step up and show everybody.
Yeah, see, now this is the fascinating thing.
It'll be his chance.
If he refuses to play,
He's a
they
little
can
bitch.
cut him and not pay him.
Right.
Plus, it ruins his reputation more than it already is.
Exactly.
If they
That's
say,
the worst
look,
part.
we want you back, and will you step up and be a pro and come back and
No,
play
don't
this
want you.
season
We
under
need you.
contract? Yeah, he should do it.
We don't want you, but we need you.
See,
Will you
I
step
think
up?
that is the ultimate play for Baker Mayfield is take your money, come back to the Browns, and play a spectacular season and make the Browns look stupid for stepping in it like they did by bringing in Deshaun Watson with all the stuff hanging around him. That is what I think the smartest play for Baker would be. And oh my God, what a great thing to watch!
I would love
all
to see
season.
that.
Wouldn't it be great?
Yeah.
Baker
Watching
Mayfield takes him to
Mayfield
playoffs.
interact
Baker
with the
Mayfield
coaches
MVP
and
2022.
the front office and everything. Wow!
Make the shirts now. Baker Mayfield, Browns quarterback MVP.
Oh my God, what a great storyline!
If it worked out that way, it would be the best scenario for both of them going into next season. He'd be much more tradable, and he can go where he wants.
Remember Joe Namath flipping off the front office when he was going off the field when the end of his last season for the Jets? I would love to see Baker Mayfield do that every game. Every game.
Every win.
Every game, the double fingers up to the press box. Yeah, take that, hitches. Anyway, wow, that would be just so much fun to watch. If Baker Mayfield plays for the Cleveland Browns, I think they're a playoff team. Because the best Baker is the angry Baker. And the angry Baker playing for the Cleveland Browns, oh my God, what a great mess that would
Winning
be.
out of spite.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
chip on his
So
shoulders.
fun. And could you imagine the post-game interviews with Baker Mayfield?
Oh,
storyline.
They'll be just
all
as watch as
season
much
long.
as the games this season.
Oh,
People will tune in for sure.
Oh, tune in, must-watch TV.
Oh, yeah.
Baker
Must-see
Mayfield
TV.
just beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 33-17. Baker, what do you think? Well, I first want to say the front office sucks.
If that happens, Gridiron Heights needs to go to Cleveland.
Oh my gosh, what fun that would be. Does anybody know where Hard Knocks is this year?
No. Arizona.
Nope.
Is it?
It's
Really?
Arizona. They're in Arizona this year. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I thought Arizona got the in-season one this year. They do two now. They do the
If
preseason and the
Baker
in-season.
Mayfield is going to be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland
They
Browns,
need to change it to
I
Cleveland.
want Hard
immediately.
Knocks in Cleveland.
That's what I meant instead of
Oh
Gridiron Heights,
my
Hard Knocks.
God,
Yeah.
would that be
You know, they
awesome.
might be in Cleveland. Think about it. They were there last year.
Yeah, oh
They were
my
last year.
gosh.
No, they were in
that'd
Dallas
be
last
so
year. They
much
are
fun.
in.
Wow.
They're in Arizona this year.
I think we're about out of time.
Yeah, it's about that time,
I don't
guys.
think so. I think we should just talk some more.
Love you, Rocky. By the way, catch Rocky in Maniac Cop, one of my favorites.
You can see it on Shudder right now.
Actually,
Great flick.
I like watching him getting stabbed in one false move by Billy Bob Thornton.
Free
There you
Fugitive
go.
is my
If you
favorite.
stay-
No, the
if you
fact
stay
is,
late
though-
enough at night, you'll see all my stuff.
The fact is, though,
If you have insomnia.
Rocky could break Billy Bob Thornton's neck with a finger. So,
Like
just throwing it out there.
But he's all right. We're good. We're pals.
He's an all right
We're
guy.
good.
He's a good guy, Billy
He's
Bob.
all right guy.
All right. Take us out, Jeremy.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us here for another Steer of the Line. We'll be back next Friday and every Friday at 5 o'clock right here on YouTube. Follow us on all our social media. Like and whatever. What is it? Like and all those things you're supposed
Hit
to
the
do at the
bell
bottom.
and
Subscribe.
Subscribe.
and follow.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
And all
Hit
that.
Do all that stuff that you do.
Send some
Do it.
messages.
We love it.
Share.
Tell us how much
Share.
you enjoy
Once
the
again,
show.
the legal
Share,
department
yes.
would like to say, when it comes to domestic violence, what Rocky said, we disagree with here on Steer the Line.
Tell everybody how cute and cuddly Rocky is, and they need to watch every week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. See you guys next week. Go Raiders. Go football.
Go Rams.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Loud.